So we are doing a practice presentation, a mock presentation, if you will, of how to actually conduct a presentation in the warmth of somebody's home. Now, husband and wife should be, they're married today, they should be on one side of the kitchen table, and trainee and trainor should be on the other side of the kitchen table. Why do we do that? Because I don't want them looking at each other, making goo-goo eyes or messing with each other, or rolling their eyes just in case they do, at some of the information that we have, just in case. I want them on one side, we're on the other side. Now, the trainer, it's the trainer's job to tell the trainee what to expect inside of the appointment. So, on my way there, a couple of small facts. On my way there, I'm not saying the trainee should drive, the trainer probably should drive, just being real with you, okay? The trainer is normally a little bit more successful at the time, and at the same time, they're kind of chit-chatting about the appointment on the way there and on the way back. I'm the trainer. I'm going to tell Brittany, this is my show, with all due respect. I know you may know the clients, just in case that is the case. And I know that they may ask you some questions. If they ask you questions, yeah, of course, answer the questions that they have. But I don't want you chiming in just in case you know something or want to know how smart you are versus me, whatever the case may be. It's going to be my show today, okay? I let her know that. I let her know also that her job is to set up her friends. Let's say this is her cousin. Her job is to set up the kitchen table just like this, okay? Now, when I first get to the appointment, it's important that when we walk in, I'm not going to leave no stone unturned. I probably would not be in a tie. Just getting you guys ready for that. To me, that's uncomfortable. To me, I'm making it a little bit too big of a deal and not really being relaxed inside of the appointment, okay? Should I wear slacks and some shiners? Probably, just to set a good example and a good impression. But if these are my buddies, I probably wouldn't do something like that. I'd probably wear some jeans with a button down and some nice shoes, okay? So Brittany is going to be the trainee, and I'm going to be the trainer. I'm not going to ask her to edify me in the appointment. I think that's dumb. I think edification is for somebody that needs it, and in this scenario, you don't need it. So if you're a trainer, just be good at your craft. She doesn't need to be good at edifying you on something that you may not know. All right, so I'm going to get started. There's 4 different pieces of paper that I handed out the class here. Number 1 is an outline of the KTP. So this outline, if you guys follow me with it, number 1, I am going to build rapport. Roman numeral number 2 is I'm going to go through 3 topics to cover, and I'm going to actually let them know that I'm going through 3 topics. Roman numeral number 3, I'm going to go through the white and blue brochure, front and back. Okay, so I should have this. Number 4, disturbing facts and valued, 3 tax boxes. So I'm going to have these 3 tax boxes ready to go in the presentation, just in case I need to create some value. I might even have some specific facts about where baby boomers are going, how insecure Social Security is. All of that stuff, I'm going to go through Roman numeral 5 right there, which is the disturbing facts and value. Roman numeral number 6 is, I'm going to have this dream map just so that I can take some fact-finding information. Okay? And I'm going to show you that when I actually go through the presentation. So there's 6 specific things that I should have. If all else fails, you guys are absolutely horrible at the presentation or anything, and they need a quote, we always have this form to help you out with quoting. Okay? This is super important. If you don't know how to illustrate or quote even, you want to just take the general information down, and this helps you to do that. Okay? So first and foremost, I'm going to gather rapport. So I'm going to walk in, and I'm going to notice some of their pictures on the wall. Oh man, your kid plays soccer. My son played soccer when he was little. That's awesome. You know, the more pictures on the wall that you see, by the way, the more they actually care about their family. I'm not going to get personal with any of the audience members here, but if you ain't got pictures on the wall, you're like a level 5 in caring about your family. Just saying. All right, I'm just saying. Well, the pictures aren't there. So you know, ask them different questions and develop rapport. Rapport is always easy when you have a good a vibe about you. If you walk in and go, hey, how's it going? You know, you ain't got no energy or anything like that, then of course they're not gonna like it. Just keeping it real. And always keep in mind that there is a VAC system that I love to talk about. V is for visual, A is for auditory, and K is for kinesthetic. So I am going to give them some visuals. I am going to speak a little bit higher tone than I normally speak. And I'm going to put them into the presentation and ask them porcupine questions. So I am going to elicit the proper responses, which you'll find out in a second. Okay? So does that make sense, everybody?
Yes. Yeah.
That's more of a kinesthetic learning process. So I'm asking you questions. You're forced to answer the questions. Okay? All right, awesome. So I'm going to skip past report and I'm going to jump right into the presentation. So Nayeli, JC, I'm going to write their name on the paper. Here's why. You just met them. I was, in years back, about 14 years ago, when I was given a KTP, I was calling this guy Mike, and the whole time his name's Mark. So you always want to write their name on the paper, because if you have a bad memory or you don't know how to do word association with their name, you do not, that's a rapport buster the whole appointment, okay? He still bought, but it was really uncomfortable when his wife goes, his name's Mark, okay? Super uncomfortable, all right? So, JC, Nayeli, how long have you lived in the area?
10 years.
10 years, oh wow, that's a lot of conversation. It's a beautiful neighborhood, by the way, wow. So 10 years of conversation, I got that. And how long have you guys been married?
How long have you been married, honey? 10 years.
10 years, super sweet. Okay, I like that. You guys just got right to business with me. Normally the Mexican way is, you know, you have a kid, then you buy a house.
We have a 20-year-old.
Okay, I follow that. Okay, I got you. Now, I want to first and foremost thank you for your guys' time. I know that you're busy with soccer practice, and I know that you're busy with Pop Warner football and things of that nature. And I want to really appreciate you guys taking your time out to train Brittany. You know, we're going to be here for about 20 to 30 minutes, so I don't want you guys to think we're going to be here for the next 2 or 3 hours or anything like that. Another thing I want to bring up is I don't want you thinking that we're going to be closing business here, okay? Hide your checkbooks. I'm not here to transact any type of business. The whole sole purpose of this presentation is just for Brittany, and we're going to be taking notes, and she's going to be learning a lot in that process. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah.
Sure. Now, would you mind if I take notes? Would that be okay with you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Awesome. Let's get started. Now, have you ever heard of our company before, the Financial Architects?
No.
Never heard
Okay. Well, you might have heard of just some of the companies that we do business. I'm sure you've heard of Voya, who used to be called ING, John Hancock, Pacific Life, Anthem Blue Cross, Gerber, Transamerica. These are all just some of the companies we do business with, okay? We're kind of like the Foot Locker of financial services. Are you guys familiar with Foot Locker?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Cool. So you walk into Foot Locker, you have a big choice, don't you?
absolutely.
You got Nike, you got Reebok, you got Timberland, you got all these different options of shoes. If you walk into Nike Town, what's your choice of shoes?
Nikes.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Just Nike. So what we do is we're a discount brokerage company that's going to get you all the great products and services of financial planning with discounted companies. And we have this big choice of companies that we have to offer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So on the back here is exactly what we do for the consumer across the kitchen table. Now you might notice in bullet point number 1, it says financial goal setting. Have you guys ever had a financial plan before?
No.
JC? No? Okay, cool. Well, a financial goal setting and a financial plan is kind of like this. Now you guys said that you got married 10 years ago. Did you take a honeymoon or anything like that?
We're still in it.
But we have a 24-year-old, like you said, so we started
We started early.
34 years ago. You know?
Okay, Okay, that's cool. So when you guys got married 10 years ago, did you take any special trip or you just like went back home?
We did it the Mexican way.
Okay. Have you guys ever aspired to go on a vacation or anything like that? You guys have any plans to go on vacation?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. What have you guys dreamt about?
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Okay.
Oh.
Now, pause for a second. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because you will have husband and wife. Erica, you're about to be switched over here, seriously. So you will have husband and wife actually sit together, and husband is going to turn to wife, wife is going to turn to husband, and they've never thought about a vacation before. But because you brought it up, they go, damn, that sounds so amazing. A vacation, that would be awesome. That'd be terrific. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I'm bringing them to a good source where I want to create some great dreams for them. And if they did go on a vacation or they did go on a honeymoon, they now go back to the honeymoon when they first got married and they go, man, that was an amazing time. Let's say they're having a bad marriage, just putting it out there. But now they remember their marriage being great in the beginning and how super it was and how they went to this honeymoon, etc., etc. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys thought about Costa Rica. So when JC says that, Nayeli's going to go, in her mind, she's going to go, I never even thought about Costa Rica. That sounds amazing, you know? So now they're dreaming together. Make sense? So Costa Rica, okay, cool. Let's say we're going to Costa Rica, and I'm the pilot. That's a dangerous flight to take already. So all four of us jump into the plane, and we invite, you know, all of our best friends. And we get on the plane, and I say over the loudspeaker, I say, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to our flight. We're going to Costa Rica today, but I want to let everyone know we have no instructions on how to get there or even directions on how to get there. We're probably going to get lost. We're probably going to run out of gas. I don't even know if we have a life raft in the plane. Would that be a smart flight to take?
No.
Obviously not, right? So what we do at the Financial Architects is we give you a roadmap to get from point A to point B. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, let's say well, I'll just ask you guys, when did you want to have the opportunity not to work anymore?
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible? Have you guys ever thought about that before? Or?
It's crossed our minds.
Okay. So what age can I write down just in case you wanted to retire?
Like 55.
55. Okay. And how about you, JC?
65.
65. And JC likes to work. I like that. And how much money would you need to retire at this age? Not taking into account, by the way, the rate of inflation, which is 3 to 4% here in California, but not taking anything else into account but what you currently live on.
Monthly or yearly?
Monthly. Great question.
Well, at least 10 grand a month.
10,000 a month? Pause. He's answering all the questions. So in my mind, I'm thinking he's the decision maker. Make sense? Even though that may not be in this scenario, because I know how strong Nayeli is, but that may not be in this scenario, but if he's answering all the questions, I'm normally now directing my questions to him because he is the decision maker. Make sense? Okay? Awesome, $10,000 a month. Now, would you like that income taxable or non-taxable?
Non-taxable.
Awesome, okay. So, here's what we do at the Financial Architects. If I could show you how to get here with $10,000 a month of non-taxable income, would that be something that you'd want to take a look at?
Absolutely.
That's exactly what we do. So all the rest of the stuff, honestly, I'm just going to act like I'm real smart and show you some different details. Make sense? Okay. Now, there's 3 enemies to our money. 3 enemies to your money. And, feel free to take notes, you guys. So enemy number 1, 2, and 3 all have to do with someone else putting their hand inside of your cookie jar, which is your money. The number 3 enemy to your money is inflation. Can you give me an example of inflation?
The cost of products have gone up.
Cost of products have gone up. You see how I just threw in there kinesthetic?
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of inflation? I put the ball in their court, and now they're responding back to me because they're forced to. I've gotten them into the conversation. Okay? The best closers are not the best talkers. They're the best listeners. Okay? Absolutely. So inflation is at the rate of 3 to 4%. An example of that would be like the rising cost of gas, milk, paying for tennis shoes that are rising and rising. Real estate, we'd all agree with that. You'd all agree with me in saying that real estate has gone up because of inflation.
Right.
The number 2 enemy to your money is taxation. You make more, they take more. You spend it, they tax it. You save it, they tax it. You die, they tax it. Elvis Presley lost 78% of his estate to probate. He could shake his hips, but he had no idea what he was doing with his financial future. Make sense? The number 1 enemy to our money, you guys have any ideas what it is?
No.
Oh, JC, you want to go? I got a $5 gift card in my laptop case if you got it, dude.
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, cool. It's procrastination.
That's a good one.
It's us. The longer it takes us to save money, the longer it's going to take us to accumulate wealth and get to that retirement age that we're looking forward to. So, I know what you're saying. If you're anything like me, I'm like, man, once my son goes to college, then I'm going to start saving and investing. Once my Honda Accord's paid off, then I'm going to start saving and investing. Once Donald Trump's out of office, then I'm going to start saving and investing. You know, we never plan to fail, we just fail to plan normally. So my job as the financial strategist is to help you outpace inflation, hedge or reduce the cost of taxation, and completely stop procrastination. Now the way that I do that is I go through 3 different tax boxes. Now, this is really the meat and potatoes of the whole presentation, JC and Nayeli. So ask me any questions that you might have. Okay? Now the government gives us 3 options to save and invest our money. I'm going to turn them the tax now, the tax later, and the tax never. Now this is not a trick question. Where would you guys like to save your money?
Tax net.
Of course, right? It's just how do we actually get there, Manny, right? Tax now are your CDs. These are mutual funds. These are savings and checking accounts that are interest bearing. Money market accounts, individual stock portfolios. So who's the cook in the family?
Oh, we both are.
Oh, awesome. Again, kinesthetic learning.
She's the chef.
Awesome. So what's the favorite meal that she cooks for you, JC?
Chilaquiles.
Chilaquiles. Oh man, I'm excited. All right, this is getting juicy. So let's say you guys invite me and Brittany over for dinner, and she's cooking that meal. I'm excited about it, right? I get kind of hungry, and I go to the oven and I start grabbing a piece of the carnitas that she's putting on the chilaquiles. Okay. By the time that's served, it's going to be less of a portion, is it? That's the way that tax now works. Because every time you make money on your investment, it's taxing. The government is saying, hey, you owe us a piece. Make sense? Here's what I'll tell you. Pause for a second. Stories sell, facts tell. If I go through, hey, here's the mid-cap stock of a mutual fund, and here's the large-cap index fund, all of that crap, they don't understand that. But if you tell them a story about making some carne asada on the weekday, now they associate that and they'll never forget the story. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Tax box number 2 is a tax later bucket. These are your 401ks, 403bs, 401as, IRAs, annuities, TSAs for teachers, 403bs for teachers, 457 plans for like city workers and police officers, PERS, school plans. All of these different types of qualified plans. Now, do you guys have any of these?
Yes, I have 401k.
401k, okay. Pause for a second. After every box, you ask them, do you have any of these? You'll see sometimes they'll give up the news. They'll go, oh yeah, I got 120 grand in that account. Or JC will go, oh yeah, I have an old job, or from my old job, I had $87,000 there. That's a rollover waiting to happen. Because you did these 3 tax boxes the right way, now you just got a rollover. Make sense? So they go, oh yeah, I have a savings account, I have a stocks, I have all these different things. Oh, terrific. They'll volunteer information as you go through this tax box. Okay? Cool. these vehicles have something called a 59.5 and a 70.5 rule. Now, JC, do you have any of these?
I wrote 457.
457. He's a police officer, I'm guessing. Okay, cool. So you work for the city, or are you a police officer?
Police officer.
Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. So in each one of these cases, majority of the time, except for the 457, it has a 55 rule. But they have two rules: a 59.5 rule and a 70.5 rule. Have you ever heard of that before?
No.
No, never.
Cool. Here's what the government says. They say, JC, Nayeli, we love you guys so much. We're not going to make you pay taxes now. We're going to wait to make you pay taxes. Okay? So, you know how I love stories. I'm going to tell another one. Let's say all of us are farmers, and we go down to the local liquor store. We pick up some penny seeds. They're cheap. They're pennies on the dollar. And our goal is to build this multi-million-dollar apple orchard. So we plant the seeds into the city of Chino here. I use their city as an example. Now they see themselves in the city and they're visualizing all of this. So I planted in the city of Chino and it grows into this multi-million-dollar apple orchard. Would you rather pay taxes on the penny seeds that are cheaper or the multi-million-dollar apple orchard?
Well, it seems.
The seeds, of course, right? Why is that?
It says,
It's already.
honey, put it away. I mean, turn it off.
Wow. That's silent. So, go ahead. Because it's more, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, okay?
Yeah.
So they don't want to pay taxes on the harvest, they want to pay taxes on the seeds. It's less.
It's cheap.
So, why does the government wait until you have all this big harvest that you have?
So you're telling me I'm gonna pay more taxes?
Long term.
They didn't tell me about that.
Absolutely. I draw this out for them. I say, look, how much do you put in your 457?
About 1,500.
1,500 a month. 1,500 a month. So 1,500 a month. Let's say you're on a 30% tax bracket. Let's say taxes don't change and you're just on this 30% tax bracket. What's 30% of 1,500? Anybody? It's 300. It's 450. AP calculus, my senior year. I got a D. All right. So it's 450 bucks. So that year, your tax guy said, put this much money in your 457 so that you could save 450 bucks on your taxes. Right? 450 times 12 is about 48. Let's just round it to 5,600. It's more. 5,600. So you saved 5,600 that year. You go, man, this tax guy's awesome. If you're saving this much money, it will eventually turn into, hypothetically, $2 million. Let's just say. Okay? Let's say taxes don't rise. 30% of 2 million is 600,000. So your tax guy told you you're going to save 5,600 to pay 600,000. Where would you like to pay taxes? Here or here? The penny seeds? Cool. So again, I don't know if you guys have ever had a financial strategy done, but these are just basics, okay? If you ever had any questions or anything like that, please feel free to contact me anytime, okay?
They never told me anything. I just filled out the paperwork and they just take my money.
And that's normally how it goes. You know, somebody yells fire, they normally go to the same place that they entered. They follow the crowd. But there could be an exit nearby that's a little bit better to get them there quicker. Does that make sense, you guys? So my job is just to really share with you the different options so that you can get to the exit quicker. Okay? So, 59.5 rule says this: JC, Nayeli, we love you so much, we're not going to make you pay taxes now, we're going to wait to make you pay taxes later, and when you're 59.5, we will give you the opportunity to now take out your money that you saved at regular income taxes. If you decide to pull your money before the age of 59.5, you're going to pay a 10% penalty. Okay? So you guys have any old 401ks laying around? If you did, let's just say you had $100,000 and you pulled it out of your old 401k, you would pay $10,000 penalty for pulling that out on top of regular income taxes. Make sense?
So my friend rolled over her 401k, so she, from her old job, she paid penalties on that?
If she rolled it over into an IRA, more than likely no. But I don't know where she rolled it over to. I mean, if you want, you can give me her number and I can ask her those questions. Okay? That might be a good referral. By the way, we give great referral here. Brittany gives gift cards and stuff like that. It's pretty amazing.
Starbucks.
Yeah, high fives.
High five.
All right, so.
I like my hugs.
So, the secondary rule to that is a 70.5 rule. 70.5 rule says this. Nayeli, we love you so much, we're not going to make you pay taxes now. We're going to wait to make you pay taxes. But if you don't pay, or if you don't take mandatory lump sum distributions by the time you're 70.5, you're going to pay a 50% penalty. So here's what that means. Let's say you had $2 million in your account and you just don't need it. $2 million, let's say the RMD that year is 4%. Let me write it up here. So let's just say hypothetically, you have that $2 million that you saved up and you just didn't need it. You have real estate, you got all these different assets going on, and now your RMD, which stands for required minimum distribution, is 4%, just keeping it round. This year it's like 3.5 or something like that. So 4% of 2 million is $80,000, right? So now you'd pay taxes on $80,000 and you'd pay a 50% penalty on $80,000 if you did not take the $80,000 out. Make sense? That's called an RMD, required minimum distribution. So the government requires you to take a portion out, by the time you're 70.5. Okay, pause for a second. Guys, this is the biggest rule and most significant rule right now for us. It is unbelievable. Every day there's a baby boomer turning 65 years old. Every day there's 10,000 of them turning 65, 10,000 turning 64, 10,000 turning 63, 62, 61, etc. So it's a major, major rule. All right, so, not even close. Awesome. So these are called qualified plans. Now, the government has changed these rules several times in the past 15, 20 years. So it may go from 59.5 today to 62 tomorrow. It may go from 70.5 today to 72 tomorrow. They can change it whenever they'd like to, okay? The 401k plan came about back in 1980, and at that time, Social Security was a big deal. And speaking of which, there's three majors that are happening right now that will give us the impression that taxes are rising somewhat. Let me explain them, okay? There's three major things that are happening right now. Number one is the baby boomers. The baby boomers were born between the years 1946 to 1964. It's a huge amount of babies are born. It's about 81 million Americans today that are baby boomers. Currently, the United States population is roughly about 320 million, okay? The baby boomers are on a collision course for the lack of Social Security. That's number two. They're starting to call it social insecurity because it's underfunded, okay? So you got the baby boomers, number one, Social Security or the lack thereof, number two, and number three, which is what I believe is the most significant, our U.S. debt. It's over 21 trillion now. With those three facts, would that give you the impression that taxes are rising a little bit or a lot? You see how I asked them a little bit or a lot? I don't want to ask them, would that give you the impression that taxes are going down? I don't want to lead them into a wrong answer. I want to lead them into a proper answer that I just discovered for them. So if that happens and they're pausing too much, you want to answer the question for them so that you don't make them feel dumb in their own house. Okay? That's important. Always edify them, how great they are, how great their family is, etc. Don't lie to them, but tell them exactly what you believe are their gifts. All right. Now, the tax never bucket, this is more of control of your taxes. So these are your Roth IRAs. These are cash value life insurance policies. These are 529 college plans for kids, municipal bonds. Remember when I brought up the penny seeds or the $1 million harvest? And you said you wanted to be taxed on the penny seeds? In this bucket here, they tax you on the seeds so that you can get the harvest income tax free. Make sense? Okay? So, out of all three of these things, which did you like the best?
The tax number.
Tax number.
Tax number. Okay. What I normally do you have any questions here, by the way? No?
Before it makes sense.
Pretty straight and narrow,
I'm
right?
just very upset about this right here.
Absolutely, and I get that quite often. You know, it's like I said, you know, the biggest enemy to our money is procrastination. We never plan to fail, we just fail to plan. And personally, you know, I've been in the industry X amount of years, and I've been learning all these different things. And when I first got involved in the industry, I was like, man, you know, what's the deal? Because I was putting in my 401k. So when I had a job back when I was 28 years old, they did this big 401k meeting. And the blue-haired lady at HR, she made less money than I did. She told me to put all my money, as much as I can, in my 401k. And I'm coachable. I started putting in 10% into my 401k. I was only getting a 3% match. It's free money, you should take advantage of free money. So if you get a match in your 401k, take advantage of the match. But anything over that, I should have been putting into a different bucket for my personal plan. But I never knew that, and I never had the knowledge to take advantage of other plans, because no other plans were actually offered to me. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what I normally do is I put together a plan for you guys, and I do a bunch of illustrations just to share with you. You know, we have a 5-step process to financial independence, and you know, number one is cash flow. That's really where I take some data on how much money you guys are making, and you tell me a budget that would be fitting for you guys. If you're putting $1,500 in your current plan and you like that plan, I'm no one to say, oh no, that's a horrible plan and you shouldn't do this. You know, we work in collaboration, in conjunction together to fixate a plan for you.
What
Okay?
if I stop paying on that and pay something different?
Well, I could show you the numbers on it, absolutely. But that's part of it, is if your plan is to retire at 65, hypothetically speaking, and in that 457 you can pull out at 55, you know, it might be good for you. I don't know, you know, and that's where we actually get together and I run some different comparisons, and then we make a decision together instead of me trying to be the all-knowing, you know. Number two is proper protection of, I didn't even ask you guys, do you have any life insurance or anything like that in place? I know as a police officer, you guys get $100,000 normally, the sheriffs do, as part of their package, but do you have anything supplementary to that?
I have a term policy, $1 million.
Okay, and is that a group term or is it a?
No, it's personal.
Oh, sweet. So how long ago did you guys get that?
5 years ago.
About 5 years ago? And is it a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year?
30 years.
30-year? And is it the new type of insurance or the old type of insurance?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, and that would be exactly, you know, another example of what I would actually need in the secondary appointment, is so that I can look it over. Because the new types of term insurance policies, they have something called living benefits, where it covers heart attack, stroke, cancer, just in case something like that were to happen, and or a chronic illness,
Yeah,
which is really
we have that one. Yeah, I got it for the illness.
awesome, awesome. So that would be kind of a checkup. You guys go to the doctor often?
I do. I get physical, mandated physicals.
Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. This is somewhat of a physical. So what I do is I take gather all your information, and then I look it over for you, and then we make some plans together based on what your goals are. Make sense? Okay, so you have $1 million worth of coverage. I'll just write that down. And how about yourself, Nayeli? How much do you have?
I don't have
You guys don't have any.
I got her
okay.
$1 million too. She doesn't know.
Oh, sweet.
any.
Awesome, she doesn't know.
For
Okay.
anniversary.
Awesome. That's terrific. Now, are you the owner on her policy?
Yes.
Okay. The
I
owner
told her
on.
I was gonna get it, but she was like, whatever. I'm going shopping.
Okay. Terrific.
She lets me spend my money.
Now, Now, term, is that something that you're comfortable with, a term policy that's going to expire in the next 25 years?
Well, it's gonna expire in about 25 years, but
Okay.
if I can get something better, then I'm open to it.
Okay, so did you want me to draft up some numbers on a permanent plan?
Sure.
Okay, and then I'm taking notes at the same time, okay? Now, the third thing is debt management. It doesn't sound like you guys have a lot of debt if you're saving $1,500 a month.
No.
Yeah, so debt normally is, for a regular family, if it's out of control, then we work together on how to alleviate that. And I have a credit repair guy and all that other stuff.
We keep our debt below 20%.
Terrific, awesome. Emergency fund, obviously it's kind of spoken for. So normally you should have anywhere between 3 to 6 months of liquid cash saved up.
Yeah, 3 years.
Okay, terrific. And then asset accumulation and preservation.
But you,
Asset accumulation and preservation, that's where I take information about your 457 and things of that nature, okay? Now, I discussed a lot of things inside of this overview of what exactly we do. Where would you guys like to start for me to actually put something together?
How do you think?
you're the boss.
I mean, everything that we talked about, we talked about life insurance, we talked about retirement planning, we talked about, I didn't even bring up, your kid's college fund or anything like that. What would you say the most important to the least important is of everything we talked about?
Well, definitely retirement.
Retirement would be number one, JC?
Yeah, and number 2 would be I want to find a way to make sure our kids finish college with the less minimum possible student loans.
Okay, so college planning would be number 2?
Yes.
Okay. And then the life insurance that I brought up, putting it as a permanent plan, would that be number 3 or
If it makes sense,
if it makes sense? Okay,
we're open to it.
awesome.
More on her.
Okay, cool. Now, taking into account all of the money that you put into savings accounts and retirement plans, etc., how much money would be comfortable for you guys to work with so that I can develop a plan for you to put together?
She keeps track of her finances.
Okay, so if he's putting $1,500 a month in, his life insurance, everything else that goes along with that, how much would that amount be on a monthly basis?
Probably around 2,700.
2,700, okay. 2,700.
I work a lot of overtime.
I can see that. She happy, me happy. I got you.
Happy life.
Happy
That's
wife,
right.
happy life, absolutely.
He's smart.
Yep. I imagine you married up. So,
You got no choice. It's a good catch.
I agree. Man, you guys, it's a video. So, jeez, Louis. Well,
We're trying
and
to
now we have
figure out-
love connection video, ladies and gentlemen. So
You said we were married, so.
if so, why don't I gather some more information and we'll set up another time to get back together. When is a good time within the next 3 days to revisit?
Well, my next day off is next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday?
That works.
Okay, next Tuesday. And the same time would be good?
That'd be great.
Terrific. So I'll put some things together with the $2,700 in mind. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of this book before, but it's called Multiple Streams of Income by Robert Allen. And what he does is he shares with you a mountaintop, okay? And imagine this being rain on the mountaintop. It's causing different streams. Think of the rain as being income and the different streams of the sources of income. Now, source number 1 could be your jobs. Source number 2 could be rental property that you guys have.
That's what we have.
Awesome, terrific, and that's one of the specifics that I'm going to take down right now. Number 3 could be a second business, all of which go into your pool of money. You see that? My job as the financial strategist is to set up short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. So the fact that you have $2,700 going out, there's probably just some minor quirks or minor changes that I would make to your short, mid, and long-term plan. Make sense? Cool. So I'm going to gather some more information, and then we'll come back and see each other on Tuesday. What am I gonna get? I'm not gonna get, on this form it asks social security number. You do not get social security numbers in the first visit. It's just uncomfortable. You're completely gonna throw a report out of the whack. You get their date of birth. You get any medications that they may be taking that would affect the insurability of the client. You get, like I just took down, their goals. You get their mortgages down, meaning how many properties do you own and how much do you pay on the properties? What's the interest rate that you're paying? Is it a 15-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgage? Is it a IO? Is it an interest-only loan or is it a fixed-rate mortgage? What are some other goals that you have? You know, are you looking to purchase another property? Are you, do you support anybody else? Mom and dad, how do you take income if they're business owners? Do they take W-2 income if they're a business owner? Do they take 1099 income if they're a business owner? And or do they take a K-1 distribution through their tax advisor? So there's a lot of different play in there. So the more information, the better. And the short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals are right here just in case you forget. I think it's very important to have all of this stuff ready. I even included on the back objections. What if you get an objection inside of the field? There's 4 different objections that I have, 5 different objections that I have listed for you. They're pretty general. But do any of you have questions with respect to the KTP? What questions do you get inside of the KTP? Oh, almost forgot. So, let's say I'm closing, okay? On the second appointment, I have all the illustrations ready to go, and my job is just to close. So, at the end of me getting their details, their name, their date of birth, how much property they own, etc., I also bring up their parents. Now, one of the unfortunate parts, JC and Nayeli, of having older parents is we are responsible for them at the end of the road. A lot of us are. So having a final expense life insurance policy is pretty important. Is that something that you'd want me to look into as well?
Yes.
Cool. If you don't ask the question, they'll never know. Okay? Awesome. I'll gather that data down. So I'll get the date of birth. Go ahead.
Why wouldn't you just already have your laptop, and if they are, I know you said you didn't want to push them and you weren't going to sell them anything, but if Brittany already told them, like, you know, like they're going to give them a quote because they were interested, you would just bring your laptop and give them a quote?
Absolutely. Here's the thing, you guys. Always be ready to rock and roll. Absolutely. So I told them, I don't want to be a liar in my own appointment. So I told them it's going to take 20 to 30 minutes. Just in case they have more questions or if they're ready to rock and roll right then and there, cool. What I noticed is that JC is a police officer, so he's got some power in his job, okay? So he normally calls the shots. He's probably going to tell me before I even say that or suggest that. And he's got a term insurance policy already. So, and that was third on his list. So already I'm thinking, I got to come back and close him. If I close him right then and there, he's going to think it's rude and he's going to think it's disrespectful and I'm pushing him too hard. Already, I can tell you that, okay? Now, if he's a little bit more laid back and he's asking more buying questions, absolutely. He was not interested in that based on that because immediately he covered his wife and said, she's got coverage too. I'm not pushing the envelope at that point. I'm not going to be pushing. That's not how I'm comfortable selling. So I'm going to leave the door wide open for the next appointment. And if I have to follow up with him 23 different times, then I will. Make sense? And I'm more organized the secondary appointment when I come back. Okay? Now, JC, Nayeli, if I could construct a plan that would be to your satisfaction, and I could show you a way how to retire earlier than your first anticipated plan that you have in place right now, would there be any challenge to you writing a $2,700 check the next time we visit?
No, it wouldn't be a problem, but I don't think I'm going to stop retiring. I love my job.
Absolutely, and that's why from the initial, from the starting point, I brought up, when would you like the opportunity not to work anymore? Opportunity, because I love what I do. I don't see myself retiring, but I'm playing basketball and I break a leg, I might consider retiring earlier and having the opportunity to. So lots of people would rather have and not need than need and just not have. So if you want to work until you're 80 years old, I can construct a plan where you can have the option to retire at 65 but still have the option to work until you're 80.
That's good.
Cool? And that's what I do. Okay? So if I could do that plan, would there be any challenge to writing a $2,700 check the next time we visit?
Not at all.
By the way, my current appointments now, they are not like that, meaning they're ready to write me a check already. So when you're doing a training appointment like that with a trainee, which a lot of you guys that are training right now, it's important that you preface it that way because you do not want to come on the second appointment and waste your time. I've been there. Oh yeah, it looks great. You know, you're having like pozole the first appointment. Oh yeah, you know, cracking jokes. Second appointment, you go down. You're thinking you're closing, and they're like, "Oh, we gotta write a check." Oh man, I gotta think about this, and it turns into a 3 and 4 appointment close. It's a waste of your time. You do not want to do that. So set them up straight right from the jump. Bob.
Are you giving them the dollar amount of how much it's already gonna be?
They talk to me about the dollar amount that they're saving already.
Gotcha.
So let's say I create a short-term, mid-term, and long-term plan. The short-term, I might tell them, hey, $900 a month goes into your money market account. You don't need to write me a check for that. But the $1,800 that's going into these other plans, I would need an initial investment inside of that plan. Let's get our
That's
feelings
not
up
based on
here.
already what they're putting out.
Absolutely.
That's the math you did.
It's the same exact plan that they have. All I'm showing them is how I can cut their retirement plan by 4 years. And non-taxable instead of taxable, hypothetically speaking. Make sense? All right. What else? Oh, I tell them about the underwriting process. The way that it works normally, JC and Nayeli, is I'm going to go back to the office. I'm going to do all the numbers for you. I'm going to come back, present the numbers. If they make sense, then we're going to rock and roll and do business. Okay? If there's any blood work, urine, you have to step on a scale or anything like that involved in the switch of your insurance, for example, then normally there's anywhere between a 3 and 4 week underwriting process. Okay? So even though we may do business on our next visit, it's not to say that it's in stone, you guys can't change anything. It's completely flexible, and at the same time, my goal is to have a 40-year relationship with you, not a 40-second relationship with you. Make sense?
Yes.
Cool. I'll see you in a couple days.
Sounds great.
Boom. Any questions before we cut off the video? No? Going once? Going twice? Cut.